Good morning. Today is 14 July in the year 2021. I'm Kemp Dowdy, a volunteer here at the Palm Springs Air Museum in Palm Springs, California. As part of the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., we do interviews of veterans and civilians who have participated in this country's conflicts. Today I'm here at the museum along with fellow volunteers Diane Thompson and Dave Thompson, and we have the honor and privilege of interviewing today Seaman First Class Rocco Salciccioli. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
Who was a Seaman First Class and U.S. Navy. He was a U.S. Navy officer's launch coxswain aboard the USS Prairie during the Cold War. So we are here to talk to him about that and a lot of other things. Nice to have you here, Rocco.
Good to be here.
If you would, state your full name and where you were born.
Rocco Salciccioli, born in Detroit, Michigan.
And what year were you born, Rocco?
1939.
And your father's name and occupation?
My father was Antonio Salciccioli, and he was a gardener for 20th Century Fox Studios.
Oh, okay. Good. And your mother?
My mom was Maud Salciccioli, the Italian was Norderna, and she was born in Steubenville, Ohio.
Okay. And you have any siblings, Rocco?
Yes, I have two sisters.
And what are their names, if you don't mind?
My oldest sister, her name is Delia Breeden, and my younger sister is Elfrida Botetinef.
Okay, so now you were born in, you said Burbank, is that correct?
No, I was born in Detroit.
You were born in Detroit and you came to California at an early age?
Right. We moved to California in 42, I believe it was.
And where'd you move to in California?
Burbank.
And that's where, did you go to school there?
Yeah, I grew up there.
You grew up there with your siblings?
Right, yes.
And do you remember what school you went to first?
Yeah, the first one I went to at the grammar school would be Emerson Elementary School in Burbank.
Was that kindergarten, first grade?
Kindergarten to sixth grade. Then went to junior high, seventh grade to ninth grade. That was at John Muir Junior High.
And that was also in Burbank?
That was Burbank, and I went to Burbank High.
And you went to Burbank High. Now, when you were young, going to grammar school and whatnot, did you ride your bike to school, or did you take a school bus, or folks dropped you off there? Or
I walked to school. It wasn't that far away.
Okay. And what did you like to do in school? What were your hobbies when you were in school? Did you play sports or?
Not in grammar school too much. As a matter of fact, I didn't play any sports at all in any school, high school or anything. Things I like to do in high school, I like to just hang around with my friends in the classes.
It says here that you like to water ski. Is that
Yes, I water skied.
in high school?
No, it was after high school.
Okay. And what subjects in school and say high school most interested you?
History, for one
History,
thing. And, I like reading about the Civil War.
Civil War. Had you ever been back? Did you ever get back to any of the Civil War sites? I mean,
Oh yes.
you've done some traveling back there.
Yeah. I had family that lived in D.C.
Oh,
and,
okay.
When we'd go back and visit them,
All right.
I used to go to almost all of them that I could go to.
Now, your father worked for 20th Century Fox, is that what you
Yes.
said? And did you ever, when you were young, did he ever take you through the studios and show you what was going on there?
No, no, but the studio used to put on these programs for the families,
Oh, okay.
and we would go to the programs, but no, I never went to the studios.
So you never got interested in the movie business when you were young?
No,
You never
No.
did? What year did you graduate from high school? Do you remember?
well, I didn't really graduate from high school. I joined the Army Reserves, 17,
What year is that now?
then was 56.
1956, you joined the Army Reserves?
Right, and I decided after I'd been in there for, I don't even really remember how long, probably not even a month, I decided that I'd rather go regular Navy.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I left that and went into the Navy.
And you went in the Navy. And what year did you go in the Navy? 1955?
No, 1956.
1956. So you joined the Army, but you decided you didn't want to go active
Right.
there, and you joined the Navy.
Yeah,
Where'd you go to boot camp in the Navy?
NTC, San Diego.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And you graduated from boot camp as a seaman apprentice, I would
Seaman
imagine.
apprentice, yes.
And from that time on, what did you do? And first of all, how long were you in the Navy on active duty?
I was in the Navy just about 4 years.
Okay. So when you graduated from boot camp, or I should say recruit training, what happened to you at that point? Did they send you to a school for?
No, what
High
happened
school
there
side.
is I had orders cut for the USS Oriskany, and so they
Okay.
sent me to Hunters Point, San Francisco area.
This is as a seaman apprentice, you were sent to the
Yeah.
Oriskany? Okay.
But I never made the Oriskany because it went into dry dock. And
Oh,
so then they asked me if I wanted shore duty or go aboard another ship, and I told them I'd like to go aboard another ship. So that's when they put me on the USS Prairie.
USS Prairie, and that was what type of ship?
That's a destroyer tender,
Where was it based at that time?
San Diego.
In San Diego. And so that's where you reported to the ship?
Yes, they sent me back down. It was on a world cruise, so I had to wait for it to come in. San Diego, then they sent me down there to San Diego, and that's when I went aboard.
Okay. And what did you do? Did you live aboard the ship, or were you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
What did you do while you were on the ship in San Diego? Did they have you striking for a particular rate at that point?
No, I just stayed in the deck force, and I was a seaman, now I made seaman first class, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
at that time, if I remember right, they weren't making bosun mates, third class, because after the war, the Korean War, they had so many bosun mates that they weren't making the rate. So I never did even attempt to take the test for it, but
Was there another rate that interests you that you could strike for?
not really. No, I enjoyed working with the boats, and
Okay.
also I was a crane operator on the ship also, and I just enjoyed the type of work that being a deck hand
Right.
entailed.
So you stayed there. How long were you in San Diego? Did you ever go out to sea with the ship?
Oh, yes.
Did it
Oh, yes.
return?
I know 2 for sure, possibly 3. I think 3 cruises. I was discharged on when we came back off the 3rd cruise.
Oh, really? What year was that?
May of
58, I would say.
May of 1960.
May of 1960.
I went in on what they call a kiddie cruise when I switched over from the Army to the Navy. It was like a kiddie cruise. If you went in before you were 18, you got out the day before you were 21.
Oh, really?
So I was discharged.
Well, hold it. Let's back up a minute. I didn't realize you had joined the Army. I thought you'd probably been drafted into the Army.
No, I joined
But
the
you
reserves.
physically joined the Army. Did you go in at all? Did you serve any time in the Army?
Just going to the reserve meetings.
Oh, you were in the Army Reserve.
Reserves.
And that was like 6 months active duty and weekends?
Yeah, but there was actually no active duty. I would just go down there and with the reserve
Oh.
meetings and.
Kind of an inactive reserve
Right.
program.
They were gonna, I think I was scheduled for one type of training. And I think it was gonna be at Fort Ord.
Mhm.
That was so long ago, it's hard to remember.
I know. But they never did send you to basic training.
No.
You were just in reserve.
Right, I wasn't in long enough, I guess.
Was there, let me ask you a question. In the mid-50s, was there a draft going on like there was during the Vietnam period?
I don't remember.
You volunteered. Everybody was a volunteer. Is that right, during that period?
Yeah, I think so. I do not remember if there was a draft going on at that time.
Okay, so you were in the Army Reserve. Now, you said you joined a kiddie program in the Navy. Is that what they call it?
Well, when I switched over from the Army Reserves into the Navy, I had to go regular Navy.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, they said it was what they called a kiddie cruise.
Kiddie cruise.
Kiddie cruise. You joined before you were 18, and you got out the day before you were 21.
Oh.
So I was discharged May 12th of 1960. But I had to do 2 years of reserve in the Navy after that. So 1962 would have been my actual discharge date.
So 4 years active, 2 years reserve, a total of 6 years. Now, did you, after your third cruise with the Prairie, you were a crane operator that time, you got off active duty. Was there anything on the cruises that you went on? You went on 3 cruises. Where did you go and what did you do on those cruises?
Well, our port over, when we leave and go over, was Yokosuka, Japan. But we would travel to different places, like at Alangapo and the Philippine Islands and Hong Kong.
Mhm.
Went to Formosa.
Were you working on destroyers as you were on this cruise? Were they?
Yeah, the destroyers, when we pull into port, we'd have destroyers tie up alongside of us.
And then you'd work on it.
And they'd work on it. But I was when I wasn't running the boats, I was running the crane. But other than that, I was the coxswain of the officer's motorboat.
Okay. That was the officer's boat on the Prairie that you
Mhm.
worked with. Okay. Did anything during that period of time when you were on these cruises, anything extraordinary happen on those cruises that is worthy of note?
Yeah, we had a collision at sea,
Oh,
and it was quite dramatic. Japanese freighter ran into us, and it was very, very foggy. And we were actually going into port in Yokosuka, I believe, and I kept hearing the one whistle from them and the 2 whistles from ours. And
whoa.
I happened to be walking up the deck, and
You're walking up the deck
Up
and
the
you saw
deck.
this freighter coming right at you,
Right
out of the
at-
fog.
out of the fog. So I jumped into one of the rooms there. I think it was a sail locker that I jumped into, and he hit, and he scraped the side, took all the life rafts off the side of the ship.
He didn't come in at a broadside, he came in
Yeah,
and scraped you.
Like this was us coming this way, he was coming this way, he just hit
And he bounced off you to the side and
Yeah.
probably put a big ding in there.
Well, his anchor took all the stanchions all along and all the lifeboats
Oh, my goodness.
along the O1 deck. The O1 deck dropped down, I think it was about 18 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah. And, I really don't know whose fault it was, but our captain was relieved of duty after that.
Oh, man.
The new captain. But, yep. So
Whoa.
that's probably the most, or thing that I can remember the most of that happened. Little things
When
happen.
that ship was coming at you and you saw it was going to collide with you, was that the side of the ship that you were walking up?
Mhm.
And you saw it coming and you just,
Yeah, I just jumped into one of the rooms.
man, oh man, because that could have knocked you, that could have,
Well, yeah, because when I was actually walking on the main deck, and when he hit, the anchors took all the stanchions from the O1 deck. So I
Okay.
jumped in that room and I just watched it go by.
whoa. Did it breach the hull at all?
No,
Okay. Now, when you got off active duty, that was in 1962?
that's when I got off the reserves. I
That's
got
when
off
you got,
active
that was
duty.
the end of your 6 years was up.
Right. Yeah.
And
1960 is when I got out of the active.
were you still a seaman when you got,
Mhm.
did you stay in the reserves after that at all?
No, once I did the 2 years, I just left.
I thought when I introduced you here, I don't have the paperwork, that you were a seaman, oh, you were a seaman first class. That's when you got out, you were a seaman first class. I mistook that to mean a first class petty officer,
No.
which would mean you would have to be in the service a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
So you were a seaman first class, so you never did get rated as a bosun.
Bosun mate, no sir.
Okay, now during that time when you were on active duty, did you meet your wife? When did you meet your wife?
Well, I met my wife in, it was 1962, I met my wife.
Right, that was right about the time you were finishing
Yeah.
up. And what's your wife's name once again?
Carol.
Carol? And were you in San Diego at that time?
No, I was, I was in Burbank, and a good friend of mine met her cousin, and they introduced us
Oh, really? That's how that happened, up in Burbank.
up in Burbank.
Now, when you got out of the service, you met your soon-to-be wife. What were you doing in Burbank? Were you working or going to school? Or
Yeah, at that time I worked at Rockadine.
Rockadine is
They
a
built,
aviation manufacturer or something?
yeah, they did the F1 engines for the spacecrafts,
Oh, okay.
and they built the other ones too, but the main one I worked on was the F1. And I was in the testing department where we would test them, hydraulic test them for, make sure the welds were good.
Okay. So you were an inspector, or were you
Wasn't
a
an
welder?
inspector, no, I would do the testing.
Okay,
We would button them up,
okay.
put hydraulic, and test them, then we'd put them in a tank. And, that
So
was
now, when did you get married to Carol? What year was that?
1964.
In 1964. So you courted her for a couple of years there. And was Carol working at that time, or?
Yes, she worked at the Los Angeles Herald Examiner.
I'm sorry, say the Herald.
The Herald Examiner,
It's a newspaper.
yeah.
Now, Rocco, you were married in 1964. Did you have any children right away, or did you guys wait for a
Well,
while?
My wife had one boy, and he was 2 years old. And He was born in 1960.
When you had
When I
gotten
met her,
married?
he was 2 years old.
Okay.
And then we got married in 1964.
Mhm. And she continued to work,
Yes.
raise the child, and did you guys buy a house at that time, or?
Yes, we lived in a duplex first, and then we bought a home in Burbank.
Okay.
After, let's see, in about 1972 or 73, we moved to Yucca Valley, California.
Oh, really? And that's where you live right now?
That's where I live right now,
So you've been in Yucca Valley for a long time. There was nobody out there when you moved there, I would
yes.
guess.
48 years, yeah, it was 6,000 people.
Really? And you moved out there, you said, in 1974?
1973, I believe it was. 1970, I'm sure it was 73.
So, okay, so when you moved out there, did you buy a home out there? Or build
Yes.
one? Did you build one?
Well, the first house we bought and had, but then we lived in that one for 30 years and then had one built. And that's where I'm living now, in the one that we had built.
Oh, okay. Did you, were you self-employed out there? Were you doing?
No, I worked for the Southern California Gas Company,
When did you start with them?
1967.
Oh, so by the time you left Burbank, you were working for them. Southern Cal Edison, you said?
No, gas company.
Southern Cal Gas Company.
And then we moved down here. I transferred to Cathedral City base. And that's where I was until I had an accident. And after the accident, I got transferred up to Yucca
Had an accident.
Valley. Auto accident.
Oh, really? When did that happen?
That happened in 1983.
Auto accident. How, did it bang you up pretty bad?
Yes, I did.
What happened, if you don't
Well, broke both my legs and crushed my left foot. And that's all fine and dandy, but my left foot is totally fused.
Oh, really? Oh, man. That was in 1984. Were you like commuting to work from
We were on our way home from work,
on your way home, going up?
going up the Morongo grade with
Oh,
the
boy.
curve.
Yeah.
And the gentleman coming down just didn't make a curve, and he came right over and hit his head on.
That road is very dangerous, isn't it? I mean,
Then it was,
even
'cause
today, it was coming down. It was
Right, there was no wall. Now there's a wall in the center, but
Yeah. And you were with the gas company. What did you do with the gas company when you were there?
well, I ended up, when I retired, I was a commercial service. I'd work restaurants and hotels, kitchens and stuff like that.
What did you do? Hooking gas lines up to these places? Is that what you
No. I'd work in the kitchen on the appliances. In other words, say a restaurant had a oven that went out or some kind of an appliance that went out, then I would go repair it.
Oh, I see. You were repairing the things. Now, the gas company, they do have underground lines most of the area around here, don't they?
Yeah, that's distribution. That would be a whole different department than what I was in. I was in a department called customer service.
Customer service. Okay. And how long were you with the gas company? You retired when from them?
Retired in 2000. I was with them for about 34 years.
Okay. And that's a public utility company that would be under the control of the state of California, I would imagine.
PUC, yeah.
Now, did you have any children of your own from Carroll at all?
Oh yeah, 2 boys.
2 boys. What are their names?
Middle one is Christopher, and the youngest one is Rocco. And I
He's
adopted.
like Rocco the second?
No, he's not a junior. He just. My wife wanted to name him Rocco, so I said okay. But, I don't have a middle name, he does.
So that, yeah, that makes him,
And I did adopt Gregory.
you did adopt
Yes,
Gregory.
I adopted Gregory.
So now you had three,
I have three.
the one from Carol and the two, so you raised three of them.
Yeah. And,
Where are they now?
well, the oldest boy, Greg, he's in Bend, Oregon. He's 61.
Uh-huh.
He's a pastor,
Okay.
and he also has his own business. And he's pretty successful in that business. And the second one, Christopher, he lives in Yucca Valley. He also has a very successful business.
What's he do?
Well, he was a police officer for 10 years, and then he went into outdoor kitchens. We manufactured outdoor kitchens. And of course, when the economy dropped, then he had to give that up.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started just doing little odd things with the business. He had dealers all over the United States.
Outdoor kitchens are big around here.
Now they are. Yeah, they were big when he first started. They weren't big at that time, but he was in on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when the economy dropped, nobody needed a,
When you're saying the economy dropped, you're talking the 2008 period?
yeah, right around in there. Yeah. And so what he does now is he does for big hotels. He does all their railings and their stairways, metal work. You know, they
Oh, really?
building all the railings for the floors and all the metal stairs that would go up to these places. And
He does the fabrication of them?
yeah, and he does the installation too.
So he's got a factory then?
Yeah, well, it's not actually a factory, but he's got a big building in 29 Palms that he builds all the stuff.
Oh,
And then
really?
They haul it up to where they're working. Right now, he's got 3 different jobs going up in San Francisco area.
Oh, really?
So he's
So that's a lot. I'm trying to think, if you're talking a hotel, you're talking the metal stairs that go up the emergency run.
right.
And
Right.
that's a lot of fabrication.
Yeah, and he designs a lot of it himself too.
I'd just like to dwell on this system. I'm trying to. That is a big job, and he makes this stuff himself. He must
Yeah.
have other people working.
Oh yeah, he has like right now. I think he has 3 crews.
Yeah.
And,
Where's this stuff made?
he just he gets the metal
Yeah.
and they fabricate everything in the